And with that, I welcome you back to Coach's Corner. It is a Monday night. It is June 5th. I'm getting my J months messed up, the J summer months, but we're back with another episode, with a new episode. That's right, we're back starting the week off. We had some NBA basketball. We had some finals action, tipping off on, what was that, Thursday night. We had the Nuggets beating the Heat, kind of, I won't say wire. Well, actually, no, it was wire to wire. It was basically Nuggets all over. Heat tried to make a push, but could never really get over the hump. So, along with that, we had a game 2 on Sunday, where the Miami Heat struck back to tie the series at 1-1, heading back to Miami. So, of course, the Miami Heat have kind of just done this all postseason long, just stuck around enough, just hung around. And when the time got, down to the end there, and the Heat were already up 10, they just held on to the lead there. Although the Nuggets tried to come back, but the Heat get the win here. Obviously, I won't even. It was a great team performance from obviously the role players who didn't step up in game 1. They came to play in game 2. Duncan Robinson was a big, spurt off the bench there in the fourth quarter that I think won them the game essentially. And it's a lot of talk being made about, they made Jokic a pass or a scorer, not a passer. Like that's how he gets his teammates involved. That's how Denver beats you and whatnot. I don't know if that's per se what happened. I don't think the Heat purposefully let Jokic go for 41 points. Frankly, I think they just, they suffered because Jokic was just making baskets and his teammates weren't. A lot is being made about the 4 assist, that was the game plan. Frankly, I think the Nuggets players, like the players that got the ball, specifically the starters, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, KCP, and Michael Porter Jr., they both just stunk. I mean, straight up, they both were terrible during the entire game. I don't think that, on defense and offense, I don't think they were good on either end of the floor. Minus 15 for Michael Porter Jr., minus 14 for KCP, and then Jokic was minus 11 somehow, Jamal Murray minus 2, Aaron Gordon minus 7. Those KCP and MPJ in particular just were offering practically nothing. And the Nuggets are a good team. They have really good players, but when Jamal Murray isn't doing the thing where he scores 30 points a game, you need guys like MPJ and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope to hit 3-pointers, to be effective, and combining 2 for 9 from 3. That's just not a sustainable way for the Denver to win this series. And although they were very close to winning this game, I think they would have stolen this game if they ended up winning. But frankly, they didn't deserve to win this, and I don't think that their effort level, that's kind of another thing being made, is their effort level. I don't say it was their effort. I don't think they were just locked in. I think mentally they just, MPJ and KCP just didn't seem like they were locked in. Jamal Murray didn't look like he was hunting a shot early on like he normally has been, and Jimmy Butler I think disrupted him, but I still think Jamal Murray didn't score in the beginning, and he kind of took, I think, a passive approach to the rest of the game until the fourth quarter when he scored a couple points to make it close. But, there was a unit that went out there, the 5, I think it was the 3 bench guys, Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray. That was probably their most effective unit that they had as a whole, collectively. But, any other combination of players they threw out there just didn't feel like they were getting the job done. And, like I said, Jokic was pretty phenomenal, but, if they don't get the win, the 41 points means nothing. And so, I expect the Nuggets to kind of get off the mat here. This isn't like, oh, no, now the Heat are going to steamroll them. No, the Heat also struggled really. They shot 17 of 35 from 3, 48.6%. That's unreal. That is an incredible way to shoot the basketball from 3. And it was just a number of mental lapses by Denver's defense that led to that number being so high. I think they cleaned that up. I think that they get better there. I think they figure it out. That number is not, I won't say it's not sustainable. It's something that the Nuggets will have to pay way more attention to. They'll have to go into the film session, figure something out, because you can't have these guys hitting multiple threes. Everyone on the team that attempted a three made multiple ones except Caleb Martin, who had one for two. So you can't have that on defense. I mean, your offense can't be stagnant with guys, like I said, KCP and MPJ not shooting well and also not playing defense. You got to have both ways. And so, like I said, I don't think they were necessarily fantastic. I really don't. I just think they got, they had some really good performances from Gabe Vincent, Max Strus in the beginning, and Duncan Robinson in the fourth. I think they had timely performances. It wasn't anything that they were just destroying the Nuggets. It wasn't. That was not the game. But there's the stretches there that I think they won, and when they needed to hold on, they did. So that's the NBA Finals. They go back to Miami. I don't know if that's tomorrow, 6-7. So that the breaks for the NBA Finals are just ridiculous these days. Can we just do every other day? Can that just be the thing? Like I'm sorry, I'm sick. I'm sick of waiting a couple days, but June 6th or June 7th is when they come back for that. But yeah. But moving over to hockey, this is the puck minute, the puck update. Golden Knights are up 2-0 over the Panthers, end of the first period. The Golden Knights are leading the series 1-0. They had a pretty good win on Saturday, it was. Yep, 5-2. I believe, they scored 3 goals in the third period. I think they've done that multiple times this postseason. I think I saw a stat. So Golden Knights looking to, hopefully capture their first franchise title, obviously over an overachieving Panthers squad, but nonetheless, a great performance so far for the Golden Knights. Obviously, I think they've been stellar all season, and I don't think anyone would be shocked if they won, but they're still trying to do the thing. And so that's the puck minute. That's the puck update. Puck luck. But moving on, we're going to go over the MLB standings. I don't think we've done this in a couple weeks. I like to kind of refresh our memory every couple weeks to, check back in on baseball. Remember, Lucas, it is still baseball season as well, along with all these playoffs. But, we got to look at it. The American League here first, of course. Tampa Bay Rays, 43-19 on top of the AL East. Not leading too heavy, too far on the Orioles, or the Yankees for that matter. But Orioles are still hanging around. They're 37-22. They're one of the more just meddling teams that just kind of just keep winning. And it's very cool to see. I mean, obviously, I don't. We'll see if it's sustainable. Obviously, if we're here in another month from now, and I'm like, look, guys, the Orioles are still here, and it is sustainable. But they are still winning games, so that's pretty cool for them. But the Rays, man, they just keep on moving. They keep on moving. Winners of 3 straight. And the Yankees are doing Yankees things. Aaron Judge is doing Aaron Judge things. That's really all I can say about that. Then we have the AL Central. Obviously, the team 2 games over 500 is winning this division, just barely over 500, because everyone else in the division is under 500. So, the Minnesota Twins are leading the division. On a 2-game losing streak, 45 plus run differential, so that's cool, but this team is so unserious. Whoever wins the AL Central is so unserious. Then in the AL West, we have the Rangers. Rangers still on top. They're really on a good stretch here. I mean, a good streak. I think some of their guys that they signed to big money are finally kind of performing as they should. I saw an insane catch from their center fielder the other day over the wall, but Corey Seager's is having a hot year, since coming back from injury. Rangers, go Rangers, baby. Then you have the Houston Astros, who are just sitting there out of first place, 3.5. Looking at the wild card, I mentioned the Orioles, I mentioned the Astros just now, and the Yankees. So those are your 3 wild card teams, with the Blue Jays lurking. The Angels are kind of lurking. And then, Mariners, very disappointing. Very disappointing in the Mariners, a game under 500. I don't know if it's a health thing. I don't know if it's a rotation. Like I said, I'm not locked into baseball, league-wide, but that's tough. And then, obviously Oakland and Kansas City are the big losers, and Oakland emphasizes that. But regardless, let's move on over to the good old NL. In the NL East, the Atlanta Braves, who have been on a rough stretch lately, I won't say that they've been playing stellar baseball. They've won the last two, so that they're, kind of picking it back up, hopefully. But, the starting rotation, Max Fried just got moved to the 60-day IL. Kyle Wright was on the 60-day IL already. Rotation down two big arms, and, already was not great in the fifth starter spot. They kind of got something in Bryce Elder maybe, but, missing two more starters, it's two more spots in the rotation they, can't really figure out right now. And so they're trying, and the offense, I don't think the offense has been consistent either. Ronald Acuna's obviously having a great season. Some of those other guys have been great, but, guys like Michael Harris, Orlando Arcius cooled off, like guys that you need the production for at the bottom of the order. I think, where they were having really good seasons last year and beginning of this year, they're not having those seasons as much, but, that hopefully on the right track here after a couple good wins in Arizona. The Marlins, I didn't know they were second in the division over the Mets. That's pretty hilarious. Luis Arias, their second baseman, is having a great season. He just hits the ball. Professional hitter. That's what they normally say about him. I know they're normally that's what everyone, all the fans say that. But yeah, their second baseman's doing great things, just hitting the ball to where teams aren't. And yeah, they're playing well. The Mets, Phillies, obviously not having as good as seasons, but, it's still early on. But going into the Central, Pittsburgh Pirates, I don't know if you remember the last time, but the Pittsburgh Pirates were on top of this division. And, it's kind of like how I talked about Baltimore just now. It's like, are we going to look back in a month to see that they're, are they there? Are they there yet? Are they going to do anything? I don't know. They've been good recently, but obviously they hit a speed bump, kind of fell back here pretty decent amount, and the Brewers are on top of this division by half a game. But, like I said, it's always cool to see the Pirates. At least they're competing. That's the big thing, and the Cardinals are still in last place. Even over the Reds and Cubs are above the Cardinals in the Central, so tough things in St. Louis. But then we go to the NL West, and a shocker of a team, I'd say, here in first place. Normally a lot of people like the Padres coming into the year. The Giants are obviously the model of consistency when it comes to baseball teams in the last, 10 years, but 10, 15. And neither of those teams are, in the top two right now. And the Dodgers are here in the top two, but they're not number one. Not right now. The Arizona Diamondbacks, I talked about them. The Atlanta got two big wins off of them because I say big wins because the Diamondbacks are legitimately good. They have great young talent. Corbin Carroll's fantastic now, and they're playing really good baseball right now. Once again, we'll see in a month if they're still here, but they're looking good for a wild card spot, I think, at the very least. But yeah, the Dodgers, and I'm not shocked that the Dodgers are tied with them because I didn't think that this Dodgers team was anything special. They're not like the Dodgers that have been 100 wins automatically, and I feel like they have to work, I think, a little bit more this season in particular. But regardless, still very cool to see the Diamondbacks competing with the Dodgers there, and then Rockies, yeah, sure. But looking at the wild card standings, I think it's a little funky here in the West because, like I said, the Diamondbacks and Dodgers have the same record, 35-25. That's just, they're both tied there. We'll see whoever drops off there. But the other two teams, Pittsburgh and Miami. I mentioned Miami earlier. I mentioned Pittsburgh earlier. Both kind of at least hanging out in the wild card. Maybe they'll stay there. Maybe the Mets will jump the Marlins. And, I mean, like I said, the Giants, consistency. They're 29-30. They're kind of knocking on the door, 2.5 games back. But yeah. So that is the baseball. That is the baseball update for, the standings watch because, like I said, I'm not locked into it, but, we all have the College World Series going on. We have the Softball World Series going on. Some good stuff going on. The Sooners, Oklahoma's softball teams, won 50 games straight, 51 games straight maybe, which is absurd on its own, but crazy. Just looking here at the stuff here, the top headlines on the sidebar here at ESPN. We have another betting scandal that might be happening. Isaiah Rodgers on the Colts, cornerback, apparently has been a big-time gambler. Been really, stretching out his fingers, gambling on the team premises, on the team, against the team. He's been doing some gnarly things. I'm going to guess that Buddy is not going to be playing in the NFL anytime soon. Any time in the future, maybe. So this has been a trend that's been happening with betting. Obviously, players have been getting suspended for betting on teams, betting on the premises. And I don't... It sounds bad in theory when you say it, the players are betting on their team and stuff. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. Obviously, I think when the players are betting and they're not betting on their team, I feel like is fine. I don't think there's any issue with that. But when the players are betting on their own team, that's when it gets pretty nasty. That's when it might be a crime, might be really bad insider trading, that kind of thing. But, it's hard because I enjoy putting a decent wager on certain things in sports. I don't think that's inherently bad. But you have guys that I think are, tempted too much. And I think part of it's the reason of the advertisements. I think the sports are very much embracing this gambling. They're very much embracing the advertisement, the money that they get for, placing wagers. They're like, you see all these different teams sponsored by DraftKings, FanDuel, Caesars, MGM. Like, you see all these arenas, all these sports games, like all the Sports Center and stuff. They're like putting the odds in the bottom ticker and stuff. And you see all that stuff, and it's like, it's right there at the fingertips. The players are seeing it every day. Can you blame them for something that you are openly encouraging to your fans, like to everyone to see as your advertisers? Can you really blame the players that much for tempting them? I don't know if you can. It's one of those it's a very tough, slippery slope, and I think there does have to be a regulation on it. There does have to be these suspensions to prohibit players. But at the same time, I think we do have to, look in the mirror a little bit, figure out, how do we get this problem to stop? Because obviously it's happening to a handful of players. And the Vegas Golden Knights just scored another goal. 3-0 over the Panthers. Panthers goalie's not having a great time. But either way, yeah, so I don't know. It's such a hard topic. It's such a very difficult, slippery slope of just figuring out what's the balance between, gambling, how do we incorporate in the game without ruining the integrity, having the players suspended, that whole thing. How do we guide this new, spot for our sport? And I think this type of issue is harder to figure out and more dangerous than I think the NIL stuff that people claim is so bad for college sports, because they're just making money because of who they are and marketing and all that stuff. Like, these guys openly have information and all this stuff and can manipulate, place so many bets on stuff because they have the information behind the scenes, and it's, I think, a lot dirtier, a lot nastier. I mean, Pete Rose is one of the more prominent figures in that world, and I still not a forgiven player, I'd say, person, I would say, for their sport. And he's, face of the league for, the time period when he played and stuff. Like, it's a very, very tough place to navigate, and they got to figure it out. That's, frankly, they just have to, someone has to have a solution here to discourage it or something. But either way, until that happens, I'm pretty sure we'll probably see more players in suspended stuff like this. But I think that's going to do it for me tonight. Not a whole lot of topics to really touch on. I wanted to, had a decent week off here from Memorial Day. Just did the one show last week. Came back with this show this week. Going to be gone next week from live shows, but I'll have pre-recorded stuff to, kind of cover the balance, cover the time being, hopefully a quarterback tier for this upcoming season, and maybe we'll dive into my NBA top. I have a top 100 list, but maybe we'll just do the top 50. We'll look through that list that I created a little bit ago, but those shows will be up next week. Obviously, you'll see them then. I'll get that stuff prepped, but I'll be back live on Wednesday. Make sure to check that out. Make sure to check out lksportstalk.com for LK League notes, that whole shebang. Ranked my top 5 offenses. I'm going to start getting into the divisional previews, talk about some certain teams that are in the divisions. I don't know what division I'm going to start off with, but Friday noon time-ish, check that out. So until I see you on Wednesday, until next time, I am your host, Lucas Kochevar, as always. Make sure you like, make sure you share, subscribe.